What's up guys, Roman from R&S Entertainment here, and welcome to another episode of Comic History, the weekly series where we go over the iconic origins and storylines in the world of comics. In this video, we're going to be talking about the origin of DC's deadliest assassin and one of my personal favorite DC characters, Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke the Terminator. Deathstroke has become a pretty recognizable character over the years, appearing in numerous animated series and films, video games, a live-action TV series, and possibly even an upcoming live-action movie. And though he's fought a number of DC heroes, including but not limited to Batman, Green Arrow, and the entire Justice League, Deathstroke is a Teen Titans villain, one of the most iconic and integral in fact, and first made his entrance into comics in issue number 2 of the Hallmark New Teen Titans in 1980, written by Marv Wolfman with art by George Perez. This is the book that put the Teen Titans at the forefront of DC, being their highest selling title at the time and creating the iconic version of the team, including new characters like Raven, Starfire, and Cyborg. Deathstroke would then go on to be a recurring and important opponent to the Titans, fighting pretty much every incarnation of the team over the years and having several of his own children actually become Titans themselves. If you're interested in the Teen Titans, check out the Comic History playlist on the channel where I have a number of Teen Titans origin and history videos, including the origin of the new Teen Titans and Teen Titans vs. Deathstroke, which covers his first appearance in issue number 2. Deathstroke's origin is actually revealed much later in issue number 44, during the incredible Judas Contract storyline, which contained the first appearance of Nightwing, the origin of Deathstroke, and the traitor Titan Terra's betrayal at the hands of Deathstroke, which inspired the Terra storyline in the animated series. I've actually covered the majority of the Judas Contract storyline in my Origin of Terra episode of Comic History, but in this video I'm going to specifically cover Deathstroke's origin itself, give you some perspective on the character, and explain the extent of his powers and skill set. Deathstroke's origin is told to Dick Grayson, formerly Robin, who has recently abandoned the name to find a new superhero identity to reflect him becoming his own hero and no longer being Batman's sidekick, by Adeline Kane, Slade's ex-wife who has been tracking her former husband's actions over the years. During this time, Deathstroke has used the information on the Titans he gathered from planting his apprentice and lover Terra on the team to systematically take down each of them at their weakest, save Dick Grayson who managed to escape, and Raven who Terra disposed of personally. This is part of a contract to destroy the Teen Titans originally taken on by his son, Grant Wilson, aka the Ravager, who died due to his unstable powers in Teen Titans vs. Deathstroke, which Deathstroke had taken on following his son's death in order to honor his professional memory. Deathstroke is a consummate professional and considers keeping his vows and honoring his contracts to be the highest matter of importance in his life. However, over the many months since Grant's death, Slade has still been unable to carry out the contract, causing him to become less stable, less in control, and also causing him to take up an unholy alliance with a 14-year-old sociopathic Tara Markov, who he's been having sex with alongside training her in the use of her immense power, while using her to gather information on the Titans. Slade's ex-wife Adeline Kane is aware of all of this, and after witnessing Slade getting sloppy by firing at an escaping Dick Grayson and chasing after him into a crowded street, she and Slade's youngest son, Joseph Wilson, follow Dick as he investigates the homes of the other Titans, seeing evidence of them being defeated and taken at each one, before returning to Titan's Tower and seeing the aftermath of Terra's battle with Raven. It's only then that Adeline and Joseph get past the tower's defense systems and confront Dick, telling him about Terra's betrayal and then about Slade's origins. In the early 1960s, Slade Wilson arrives at the secretive Camp Washington, a specialized military training camp designed to create perfect soldiers, and young Captain Adeline Kane is tasked with the assignment of rooting out the best of the best in Slade's arriving unit. Years before, Slade had lied about his age in order to join the military, becoming a decorated Korean war vet and military legend by the age of 16. Adeline is both fascinated and frightened by Slade, and watches him quickly prove himself the best they've ever seen, excelling in all combat tests and showing that on top of being a talented physical combatant, Slade's best advantage is that he is a master strategist, being able to spot subtleties in the field, alerting him to the enemy's position, spotting potential traps, and always making the right decisions to complete the mission. Alongside Slade in his training is his best friend Bill Wintergreen, who isn't as good of a soldier as Slade and thinks that Slade only wants to be the best. Adeline manages to surround Slade with units in a test, and his bewildered look belies a new and deep respect for her as a professional. And when she offers to personally teach Slade techniques for fighting and guerrilla warfare tactics, he takes her up on it. Adeline teaches Slade about peripheral defense techniques, voice, which allow him to kill and defend himself against a multitude of targets at once, even if completely surrounded. This is the first time Adeline ever saw Slade smile, and he agrees to learn whatever she has to teach him. Over the next year, Slade's already legendary combat abilities kept growing, with him being promoted and then reconnecting with his old best friend Bill Wintergreen, who after their initial training had been posted overseas and recently returned. Slade and Adeline became closer, starting a sexual relationship and then marrying 6 months later, with Wintergreen as Slade's best man. She was in love with him the first time she saw him, and he loved her ever since she first bested him in combat. But their honeymoon is cut short by the escalating conflict in Vietnam, where Slade is shortly posted, with Adeline remaining home to give birth to their first son, Grant, who was born the night Slade lands in Nam. At this point, Dick Grayson interrupts her story, saying that the Deathstroke he fought was more than a soldier. He had abilities that gave him strength well past a normal human, and godlike reflexes. Adeline tells Dick that Slade had volunteered for an experimental medical procedure on behalf of the military, which was designed to help soldiers resist truth serums, but ended up going horribly wrong, with the adrenal hormones used in the experiment sending his body into shock. Doctors told Slade he would not be able to walk due to his coordination being destroyed, but the opposite took effect, and Slade gained inhumanly fast reflexes and superhuman strength. Slade then attempts to reapply for active duty, but the military refuses him, with Slade growing less and less content, having lost his entire sense of purpose. During this time, his abilities would come and go in spurts, leaving him unhealthy and nearly comatose when they weren't in effect. Also during this time, Adeline becomes pregnant with their second child, Joseph. And a week after Joseph is born, Slade receives news that Wintergreen has been captured by the Viet Cong, requesting that the army allow him to go after him, which they refuse. But Slade is determined and does it of his own accord, making his way to Vietnam and rescuing his friend. Slade and Adeline live a wealthy life due to her inheritance, but Slade remains discontent, still needing a sense of purpose without his life as a soldier. Though his bouts of sickness and problems with his powers disappear entirely, with Adeline thinking that he no longer has them at all. During a trip to Africa, Slade finds his purpose in hunting, becoming a renowned international hunter and bringing his family even more extravagant fame and wealth. During this time, Slade is a great father to his 2 sons, being closest to Grant, who wanted to be just like him, but loving his younger son Joseph as well, who took to the arts, music, and specifically singing. Slade also begins to host lavish parties with foreign dignitaries and leaders, who all seem to defer to Slade as if he was more important than they were, often disappearing into his den to talk for hours about what Adeline assumed was hunting. Little did she know Slade had been leading a double life as an assassin for hire, a killer who had never failed to exact his contract, a different kind of hunter than she had believed him to be. One night with Grant away at military school and Slade off on a contract, Adeline is attacked at their home by professional mercenaries hired by an international terrorist known as the Jackal, who had himself been hired by the business associate of one of Slade's deceased targets. She manages to kill most of them, but is knocked out by a gas grenade, and then wakes up to find Joseph taken. Slade returns the next day and makes plans to meet with his son's kidnappers, with Adeline asking him who this Deathstroke the Terminator they talked about was, and Slade tells her that Deathstroke is an assassin who has never missed, a superpowered killer, and enters his den to return in the Deathstroke costume, giving her his word that their son would be safe. The two arrive in Tangiers, and Slade leads her to the meeting point, where the Jackal and his men have Joseph at knife point, threatening to slit his throat if Deathstroke doesn't give up information on who hired him. Slade's word and his status as a professional mean more to him than his son's life, however, and Slade refuses to tell the Jackal anything, using his super speed reflexes to chuck a sword into the man who has Joseph, stopping him just as he began cutting Joseph's throat, and quickly takes out the remaining men and the Jackal himself with a hail of weaponry. Slade holds his son, who is bleeding from the throat, and they rush him to a hospital where his life is saved, but his ability to speak and to sing was forever taken from him. Due to Slade's need to be the best and his unflinching dedication to his profession, he sacrificed his son's voice by being just slightly not fast enough. Adeline spends every day with Joseph at the hospital, while Slade doesn't visit once, though he does call to ensure that Joseph is going to be okay. Adeline confronts him and demands to know if his professional standing was more important than their son's life, and when he goes to leave, she pulls a gun on him and pulls the trigger, with Slade's super reflexes just managing to save his life, though the bullet completely destroyed his right eye. Adeline and Joseph eventually caught back up with Slade due to his battles with the Titans, but with Slade shacking up with Tara, they knew they couldn't attack him alone. After this, Dick Grayson dons the Nightwing costume for the first time and teams up with Slade's son and new Teen Titans member Jericho, aka Joey Wilson, who was born a mutant due to Slade's altered DNA and has the ability to possess others in an attempt to save his team and take down Deathstroke. You can check out most of the rest of this storyline in my Origin of Terra video, and I will be making an Origin of Nightwing video focusing on Dick Grayson's transition from Robin to Nightwing as well. So if you enjoyed the video or just want to learn more about the Teen Titans, make sure to check out all of the Teen Titans videos we've done so far, including origin videos for Robin, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, Cyborg, Terra, and Rose Wilson, the 5th Ravager and daughter of Deathstroke, the Titans Young Justice crossover event Graduation Day, the origin of the new Teen Titans, and Teen Titans vs. Deathstroke, which covers Deathstroke's first appearance in the comics. Eventually, I plan on doing the entire new Teen Titans series. Next video will be Teen Titans Fearsome 5, which introduce villains like Dr. Light, Gizmo, and Simon. And then we'll be moving on to Justice League vs. Teen Titans, and more great stories after that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and check out the Comic History playlist on the channel where you can find every episode of Comic History. If there's a storyline, character, or origin you're dying to see an episode on, go check out our Patreon and donate at patreon.com/rnsentertainment. One of the donation rewards is to commission any story you want, both helping the channel grow and getting content specifically for you. Make sure to follow me on social media on Twitter at Roman_RNS, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our gaming channel RNS Gaming, and I'll see you guys next time.
Aggressive.